Past couple of weeks, we have talked about faith journey. We talked about the faith journey of Abraham. We talked about the faith journey of Isaac. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the faith journey of Jacob. And if you look at the three, you'll find out that each faith journey is different. Abraham's faith journey is different from Isaac. Isaac's faith journey is different from Jacob. And guess what? Jacob's faith journey is different from your faith journey and my faith journey. And God gives us all a unique faith journey that's really specific to us. And so in today's lesson, we're going to look at Jacob's faith journey. We're going to see how special it was. It comes through a dream. His beginning of his faith walk comes through a dream. In that dream, Jacob is going to be spiritually awakened. And he's on his way, just like you and me, of turning away from his old life and becoming something new in Jesus Christ and God our Father. So stay tuned for this lesson. We're going to have a great time. We're going to learn specifically about Jacob, and we're going to see how God spoke to him, and we're going to see what he said and how he responded. We're going to have a fantastic lesson. Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. John W. Wilson III, bringing you the Sunday School lesson for this Sunday, June the 29th, 2025. I want to thank you for joining me on today. We're going to have a great lesson. The title of the lesson is Jacob Sets Up a Sacred Pillar. Jacob sets up a sacred pillar. It will come from the book of Genesis, chapter 28, and we'll look at verses 10 through 22. Before we get started, I want to again thank you for joining me on today. I'm excited about this lesson. So let's get right into it. But before that, remind you to hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber to this listening family. And if God, at the end of the video, if you so desire, leave a comment. I'd like to hear from you, see what your thoughts are. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about Jacob. We know a little bit about his story. His parents are Isaac and Rebekah. His twin brother is Esau. Jacob was more of a person that liked to stay at home. Esau was the older brother, more of a person who was an outdoorsman. Esau was hairy. Jacob was not. Isaac favored Esau and Rebekah favored Jacob. The firstborn was traditionally to get the birthright and to get the blessing. As you know, there was a conspiracy between Jacob and Rebekah, and so the blessing was tricked out of Esau. They deceived Jacob into giving Jacob the blessing, and then before that, Jacob took advantage of Esau, who was famished and weak, and in an appointment of weakness, Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. And I say that to say there was a lot of contention going on in this family, tension, hard feelings, a lot of dysfunctional things going on, and this is going to prompt our setting today. And so we have here, Jacob gets the birthright, he gets the blessing. Rebekah hears that Esau said that when Isaac's his days are numbered, his days are few, because at this time, Jacob and Esau, they were older men. They were probably in their 30s or 40s or something like that. They weren't teenagers, but they were older men when all this stuff started going on. And then Isaac was older in age, and so Esau felt that Isaac didn't have that many days left. He said, when those days are coming to an end, I will kill Jacob. So Rebekah, hearing that, sends Jacob off to go find a wife or to go live with our Uncle Laban in Haran. And that's kind of where our setting is. I'm going to start with verse 1 of chapter 28. That will give us a little more of additional setting here. Okay. All right. Then Isaac called Jacob. All right, he's getting ready to go to Haran, and blessed him and directed him. He gave them the same blessing that God gave Abraham. But the one commandment he did was, you must not take a wife from the Canaanite women. And one of the reason why he said that is because just right before, in the end of chapter 27, it is stated that Esau was married to 2 Hittite women. And it really bothered Rebekah. And so we can see why God said that the younger will serve the older, the older will serve the younger. And that's why God's, in his divine plan, even though they interfered with it and it wasn't his perfect plan, it was always for Jacob to receive the blessing over Esau, and receive the blessing, meaning that the lineage of Israel, the bloodline leading to Christ, will come through Jacob and not through Esau. So it wasn't the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Esau. It was never going to be that way. It was going to be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And because Esau was undisciplined, seems as though he may not even been a believer. He was a rebellious. He did what he wanted to do. He lived a loose life. How do we know? Because he married 2 Hittite women. In those days, you married your own kind, not because of racial reasons, but because of religious reasons and customs. He married a Hittite women that were similar to the Canaanite. They lived in Canaan, and so when Isaac says don't marry a wife from the Canaanite women, he's including the Hittites, even though the Hittite women or the Hittites were distinct from the Canaan. But what he's saying is that don't marry people of foreign religions, because what happens, and you look later on in the life of Israel, when they intermarried, they did not bring that foreign people or that heathen people to God, to believe in their God, a God of Israel, the God of Abraham. They took them from their God and made them believe in their gods. They blended their religion. And so he knew that was going to be a factor there. So we can see in hindsight that Esau was not the one for the Messiah to come through. So Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and directed him. You must not take a wife from the Canaanite women. Arise and go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father. Bethuel, your mother's father, and take as your wife from there one of his daughters. So he's going to marry a cousin of his, a first cousin. He's going to marry his wife's, his mother's brother's, one of his daughters there. And that's who he's going to end up marrying to, Rachel and Leah. And so then we look in chapter 28, verse 3 through 5. Then he gives the blessing to Jacob. God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply, that you may become a company of peoples. Okay, he's going to say the blessing that he got. May he give the blessing of Abraham to you and your offspring with you, that you may take possession of the land of your sojourns that God gave to Abraham. Thus Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. So he's on his way. Now, he's coming out of Beersheba. That's where we left off last week. That's where Isaac ended up, in Beersheba. So now he's going to Beersheba to Haran. That's going to be about a 555-mile trek. And so we must remember that. All right. Now, let's see what else happened. Now, Esau saw that Isaac had been blessed by Jacob and sent him away, to take a wife there. And there he was directing him. You must not take a wife from the Canaanite women. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and gone to Padan Aram. And so when Esau saw that the Canaan women did not please Isaac, his father, look what Esau did. He went to Ishmael, that's his uncle, and took as his wife, besides the wives he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, and the sister of Nebaioth. So he went and took one of Ishmael's daughter. to try to please Isaac, but it just did not work. How did it work? Because they did not comment on it. It did not help. It did not stop anything. Really, this is why he's in the situation he's in now. Very impulsive. Okay, so let's go to verse 10. This is where we are. Okay, Jacob left to Beersheba and went toward Haran. Now, we don't know if Jacob went by himself or he went with people. We don't know if he had cattle or whatever, but it seems as though he went with very little. Isaac was a very wealthy man. He lived very well. We talked about his tremendous wealth last week, just tremendous amount of wealth. Not only did he have Abraham's inheritance, but God blessed him even more, okay? And so Jacob here doesn't seem to have the wealth that Isaac had, or anything part of it. And that's good. That's important to know as we get into this lesson. It seems as though he made this trek either by himself or with a minimum amount of maybe a donkey or horse, or maybe, I don't even know if anybody went with him. Maybe somebody did, but he went by himself. It says Jacob left Beersheba, went to Haran, it's 550 miles, and he came to a certain place. So as he's traveling, it's going to take him months to get that 550 miles, but he traveled and he stayed at a place one night, not a particular place, but he stayed. I said he came to a certain place and stayed there that night. Now that certain place wasn't a monument, it wasn't a big city, it wasn't a holy place, it was just a place. It says because the sun had set, so he's resting. It's like us, we drive and we say we need to stop, we go to a hotel, we go to that certain place, we don't think nothing about it, we don't think anything special about it, but we just go there to rest, and that's where he's at. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put under his head, so he's laying out in the open. He takes a stone, either makes a pillow, some kind of out of it, or puts the stone there, puts covering on it and lays on it, and he lays down to sleep. Okay? And so one thing I want to say in verse 11, look what it says here. It talks about this place. He came to a certain place and he stayed there that night because the sun had set. Therefore, taking one of the stones, he put it on his head and laid down in that place to sleep. And that's telling us that this place, although insignificant now, will become significant as the story goes on. All right? And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder. Now, he dreamed, meaning that he had a theophany in his sleep, meaning he's going to have a visible manifestation of God in his dream. So it's called a dream theophany, okay? A visible manifestation of God that occurs in a dream, all right? The invisible God becomes visible in a dream, all right? Christ was a Christophany, God in the flesh, all right? The burning bush was a theophany, God revealing himself as a burning bush. So God is revealing himself in a dream. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder. In the Hebrew, I think the better word might be staircase. And it was set up on earth, and on top of it, it reached heaven. So in his dream, you have this staircase that is rooted in earth, where Jacob is, and it goes to heaven. So it starts with the earth, and it goes to the gates of the heaven. It goes to the divine. It's a bridge between what's on earth to what's happening in heaven. And so it says here, it says, set up on earth, and to the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God, the messengers of God, were ascending and descending on it. Meaning there was traffic, angels going down, angels going up, and that signified that God is actively involved in the things of this earth. Sometimes if we're not careful, we think God is nowhere around. We think God doesn't care about what's going on. God is not active in this earth. All this chaos is going on. All this wrongdoing is going on. There's nothing going on. But here, this ladder, this staircase, that's a bridge between earth and the divine, the gates of heaven, shows us that God is actively involved in the things of earth. And he's making that connection between heaven and earth, and that's important to know, okay? God is concerned about us. God is active in our lives. He is active in the things of the things happening on earth. He is sovereign. Okay. And so, and behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. Verse 13. And behold, the Lord stood above it. That means he stood over this staircase with authority and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. Now that's significant because one, this is the first time that God has spoken to audibly to Jacob. And so I said in my introduction that everybody has a faith walk. Everybody has a different faith journey from one other person. Jacob's faith journey is not going to be different from Isaac's. It's going to be different from Abraham's. And Isaac's going to be different from Jacob's and Abraham. Everybody has a different faith walk. And so here he begins, this is his audible voice that's in the dream that speaks to him, that's going to ignite his faith walk. Now, one thing that we got to understand is that God says, I am the Lord your God, God of Abraham your father, the God of Isaac. And he makes these promises. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your offspring. And your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and shall spread abroad to all the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in you and your offspring shall all the families of earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I've done what I have promised. All right. One thing about this is that, remember the mindset of Jacob. He is still a swindler. His name still means supplanter. He still has that mindset about me. How can I get over? How can I get this for me? How can I get that for me? And all that kind of stuff. And the first thing that God doesn't do, he doesn't rebuke him for his past sins, how he treated his father, how he treated his brother, and he doesn't rebuke him for how he conspired with Rebecca. But here, he just goes straight into the blessing. Now, do I have an answer for that? No, I don't. I don't know why, but he just does not. And so maybe he wants to cut to the chase and tell him that I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. Okay? I'm the God of Isaac, the one that you swindled out of your blessing. I'm the same God, the God of Abraham, who you knew as a child or knew as an adult. I'm his God too. Okay, all right. And the promise is this: the land of which you lie, I will give to you and to your offspring. So he's making a promise. Okay, he's on his way to Haran, but he stops. So maybe he's still in Canaan or somewhere like that. And he promised him that the land in which you lie on, I will give to you and your offspring. And your offspring will be like the dust of the earth. Similar to what he promised Abraham and Isaac. Your offspring will be like the stars in the sky, uncountable. Your offspring will be like the sand on the seashore, uncountable. Here, another metaphor that your offspring will be like the dust of the earth, uncountable. It will be that many people. And you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. Your offspring will populate the earth. Offspring will be worldwide. And in you and your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Through your line, which is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the whole world will be blessed. Because of you, because of this promise that I'm giving you. Okay, all right. So the promise is this: what? That your offspring will be like the dust of the earth. All the families of the earth shall be blessed. And then he goes on to say, but I am with you and will keep you, and wherever you go, I will bring you back to this land. I'm going to bring you back to Canaan. You're going to go to Haran, but I'm going to bring you back. And so these are blessings for Jacob, okay? And look what he says here. Behold, I am with you. And I like that. I've come to like this. Behold, I am with you, or the Lord is with you, or the Lord is with him. Same thing. And what that speaks to is that as you go through your faith journey, you're not alone. You're not by yourself. A sovereign God who's a maker of heaven and earth, who controls all things, who's able to make things happen, keep you out of harm's way, protect you, bless you, is with you. And that should give you confidence that what I say will come to pass. If God says, I'm going to promise you this, and he says that I am not with you, then the hope of that to come to pass would dwindle. It would diminish. But God is saying, I promise you these things, and because I am with you, I will make it happen. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go. I will protect you wherever you go. I will keep you out of harm's way wherever you go. Now, it doesn't mean that everything will be easy. There will be no difficulty. No, but even in the difficult times, in times of adversity, in times of heartache, in times of pain and hurt, as well as times of blessing, God said, I am with you and I will keep you. And that's something that we need to know, that in the midst of adversity, in the midst of blessings and everything in between, that God, since you are a child of God, God is with you and God will keep you through no matter what this earth, this world, these people, these evil people, or the devil may throw at you. I am with you. Because I am with you, you will persevere. You will make it through. Okay? And it says here, I said, behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. You're going away. You will sit on a mission to find a wife, but you will come back here. And he does come back here. Okay. All right. It says, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised. Means that's a guarantee. I will be with you to the very end, making sure everything that I've promised you or everything that you need to accomplish has been accomplished. Okay? So he's saying that I guarantee this. Okay? I guarantee it. All right? Now, let's see what verse 16 says. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep. Okay? He awakes from this dream. Okay? And said, surely the Lord is in this place. See, he had traveled to, it says, surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. He thought he was just going to some place. He thought God was not with him. You got to remember that just because your father may be, your grandfather may be Abraham, and your father may be Isaac, two men of God, doesn't necessarily mean that you're an automatic believer. One thing about the Christian faith is that you don't get saved by grandmother's faith or grandfather's faith. You don't get saved because your mother's saved or because your father's saved. You don't get saved because you go to church and learn all the religious practices. Now, Jacob was raised in a Jewish home, so he knew all the religious practices, the customs, and all the stories. He'd heard all of that. But those things are encouragement and knowledge and knowing what God could do, but it does not save you. And so Jacob is on his way to go Haran, and he thinks it's just him by himself. Or he said, well, how could God be in a place like this? I just stopped at this place randomly. But what he needed to know was God is with him always. In the more unknown places, in the known places, in the obscure places, in the prominent places, God is with you. And God is with us wherever we go, on our job, in our homes, in the grocery store, in the mall, wherever we may go. We need to know that God is with us. Okay? And so he's coming to a realization that surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. Okay? All right, and this is beginning of his faith journey. All right, it says, and he was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place?" He was a little nervous, a little anxious because he was in the presence of God. He said, "God is in this place. How awesome is this holy place for God to be here?" So he's a little bit nervous. He's not fear and trembling, but he's more of a reverent fear. That's the type of fear that he has. How awesome is this place? This is no other than a house of God. I mean, the place I am is where God dwells. So he realizes he's in the presence of God. And this is the gates of heaven. And he realized that that dream that he had was a bridge between what's on earth to what's in heaven. And God was, instead of man trying to go to God, God was actually coming down to him. If you look at the Tower of Babel, they were trying to build a tower that led to where God was. But in Jacob's dream, God led a staircase that led down to where Jacob was. God was coming to him. Okay, this is Jacob's moment of truth. This is his spiritual awakening. Am I saying that he's a believer right now? I don't know. Most scholars says his believer doesn't come until his name is changed to Israel. Because up until that point, he still has that own mindset, still wants to do things his own way, still wants to be in control, has not fully committed or trusted himself completely to God. But this is the start. God speaks to him audibly. God comes to him in his dream. God ignites his faith journey, his walk, just like Abraham had to be ignited in his faith journey, and Isaac had to be ignited in his faith journey. This is what Jacob had to do. Okay? All right. So, verse 18. So early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head, okay, and set it up for a pillar and poured the oil on top of it. Now, most scholars say that setting up a stone and a pillar is a foreign religion, a heathen religion's way of idolatry, and that Jacob couldn't have done that. But I think he just took whatever he had. Remember, I said he did not come with wealth and riches. Okay? Isaac did not load him up. Isaac said, you're on your own. You need to learn some lessons. And he withheld his wealth from him. And so he made a pillar, or made a place of worship, the best thing he had, which was that stone. Okay? He didn't maybe not have an animal to sacrifice. Maybe he could not have the wood. He was going to a place to sleep. He didn't know that this was going to happen. And so he took what he had and poured oil on top of it. He called it the place of Bethel. That means the house of God. But the name of the city was Luz at first. Okay, so he changes the name. Luz at first means that it's a house of refuge, and some people call it means almond or hazelnut, but it's come to known as a house of refuge. And Jacob was in a house of refuge, a way to get away from it all, where it's just him and God. Then Jacob made a vow. A vow is a prayer. It's a commitment, okay? And he makes a conditional vow, okay? We got to remember, you just don't automatically in your faith journey go to the top, the king of faith. You just don't do, this doesn't happen. You grow toward that. You experience things that builds your faith and builds your trust in God and gets you to that certain point. So here, he means well, but it doesn't come out right. It says he made a vow saying, if God, and that's the problem. He said if. That's like, it's a conditional. If God does his part, this is what I'll do for God. Instead of saying, God, I know that you're going to do your part. And Lord, when that part is done, this is what I'm going to do. I know you're going to do your part. But he said, if God. And he's not necessarily doubting God, but it's conditional. He's making a contract with God. He's trying to bargain with God. If God be with me, okay, which God said he would be with him. So I'm not sure why he said that. And will keep me in this way that I go. God said, I will keep you. And so I guess he's repeating what God said back to him, but he's making it conditional. Will give me bread and to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house. God said he would bring him back to his land. Then the Lord shall be my God. God, if you do the things that you said you would do, then I will worship you as my God. That's what he's saying. And sometimes we do the same thing. We bargain with God. If you give me that job, I'll go to church. God, if you give me this, I'll start tithing. God, if you give me this, I'll be better. I'll act better. God, if you do this, I'll praise you even more. And we should not have that type of conditional relationship with God. We should take God at his word, take God on his promises, and we should praise him or submit ourselves to him because God is worthy. Okay? So he's making everything conditional, and everything's conditional about God doing what his part is. And if God does his part, I'll do this, and that. And he's missing the big point. God is trying to have a relationship with him. God is inviting him to trust him. In reality, this vow is not even necessary because God has already made the promises. He's not doing it because Jacob is such a good person. He's doing it because of the promise that he made to Isaac and Abraham. That's why he's being blessed. Not because he has to do something, not because who he is, or because if it was who he is, he wouldn't get anything. Okay? All right. Because if you look at it in life, he's not much better, if better off, than Esau. It seemed like Esau in many ways had more integrity than Jacob. Jacob had none. All right. So, okay. All right. He says, then I come to my father's house in peace. Then the Lord shall be my God. Verse 22. And this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. So he's making a monument, a place to remember. And all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. So now he says, God, okay, if you do this, I will give my money back to you. You got to understand, God doesn't need your money. Giving the tenth back is an act of worship. It's not a bribe to God. It's not something that he needs to sustain himself. Okay, so it just seems as though he's bargaining with God. He's trying to, God, if you do this, I'll do this. And I don't think that's the type of relationship we need to have with God. Now, one thing this does do is that he gives a full tenth, and from that point on, many of the Israelite worshipers start giving a tenth to God or whatever they had. But here, a little disappointed in the fact that he's trying to throw everything he can at God to get God to do his part when God had already promised his part. But that's where he's at on the spiritual journey. He's just beginning. He will go through many things. He will grow. Many people believe that since he knows that Esau is going to be coming after him, he makes this conditional vow, and he's in a way pleading with God to keep it so he can be protected. He's pleading with God. He doesn't have anything that God may bless him. Maybe he's just found himself in a difficult spot, and he's desperate, and he makes this vow, hoping and or knowing that God will keep his. And he promises to God to try to make it a better deal. So, what do we learn from this lesson here? I think what we learn from this lesson, everybody has their own faith journey. Nobody inherently is born a Christian, born a believer. Christian is one of the few faiths that you have, the only one I really know that you have to profess and become part of. You're just not born into it. And so I don't care what kind of family that you come from or what kind of upbringing that you have, you still have to make a personal confession of Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. You still have to invite Christ into your heart. You still have to do that. Okay? And so even though Jacob came from the best spiritual pedigree, he still had to come to know God for himself. And you and I have to do that. The other thing I love about this, and that God, blessed him in spite of who he is and what he done. He done some terrible things, and God blessed him tremendously. Maybe not for his sake, but God blessed him. And what this teaches me is that we need to pray for our children. We need to pray for our loved ones, our friends and people, and our country. And sometimes God doesn't bless them because of who they are. God may bless them because of those who are praying for them. In this case here, he's blessed because of Abraham and Isaac, not because he's done. And we talked about last week, Isaac was blessed because of Abraham, a commitment, a promise that God made to Abraham. And God made the commitment to Abraham not because of who Abraham was. He did it just because. And so I like the fact that God will bless others or answer prayers on behalf of others because people are praying for them. So pray for your children, pray for your family, pray for your friends, pray for this nation, pray for your enemies, and watch God work. Okay? And then I like this about how maybe not to worship God. We don't want to enter into, God, if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. We don't want that type of relationship because God can keep his part of the bargain, but to be honest, you and I cannot. We will fall short. We will make vows to God that we cannot keep. And the Bible talks about it's better not to even make a vow than make a vow to God and not keep it. So we don't want to do that with God. We want to enter into a personal relationship with him. And then we can go from there. Okay. Well, I hope something about this lesson that's been beneficial to you. I hope that if you're a teacher, it's helped you in some kind of way. If you're a student, some kind of way. I hope that as you sit in class this Sunday, that hey, you understand the lesson a whole lot better. Well, God bless you. I love you much. Guess what? We'll talk again next week. Have a blessed Sunday and a great Sunday school. Past couple of weeks, we have talked about faith journey. We talked about the faith journey of Abraham. We talked about the faith journey of Isaac. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the faith journey of Jacob. And if you look at the three, you'll find out that each faith journey is different. Abraham's faith journey is different from Isaac. Isaac's faith journey is different from Jacob. And guess what? Jacob's faith journey is different from your faith journey and my faith journey. And God gives us all a unique faith journey that's really specific to us. And so in today's lesson, we're going to look at Jacob's faith journey. We're going to see how special it was. It comes through a dream. His beginning of his faith walk comes through a dream. In that dream, Jacob is going to be spiritually awakened, and he's on his way, just like you and me, of turning away from his old life and becoming something new in Jesus Christ and God our Father. So stay tuned for this lesson. We're going to have a great time. We're going to learn specifically about Jacob, and we're going to see how God spoke to him, and we're going to see what he said and how he responded. We're going to have a fantastic lesson. Stay tuned.